Recorded.
Thank you.
In case you missed it.
Okay. To those who are in the room, as well as those who are on WebEx, welcome. We're glad you're here. Let's start with our roll call today. District 1, Peter,
Dispatcher for District 1.
welcome back, sir. District 2, Karen Williams. Karen? I think Karen is with us yet.
No, just yet.
Okay. District 3 is yours truly. District 4's Stephanie.
Yes, present.
Thank you, Stephanie. District 5, Renee is in the room.
Present.
Welcome, Renee. District 6
Good afternoon, Scott Richmond present.
is Scott. How are you, sir?
Good. Hi, everybody.
District 7,
Dawn Deshawn Fewer.
Dawn, bless you. At large, Nigeria.
Nigeria rolling forward.
Hey, Nigeria.
Hey,
If you're capable, please turn
Yeah.
your camera on.
working on it.
Okay. And the other at large, Tiffany.
Tiffany
Justice.
Justice.
Tiffany, thank you for being here today. Again, welcome back, everyone. We're got a number of things that we have to get accomplished today, so we're going to try to stick as closely as we possibly can to our agenda. Have all the board members received copies of the September 15th, 2025 minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? If you have you had a chance to review them? Are there any questions, concerns, comments, additions that need to be made? Let's chat about those now. If not, we're going to ask for approval or motion to adopt those minutes. Any concerns, additions, corrections? Anybody noted? Okay, then may I move that we adopt those minutes as given to us from our I guess Aiden, you did these. Thank you for it so much. May we adopt these minutes? Can I make a motion to do so? Okay, if I can get a second.
Second.
Probably moving to second that we adopt the minutes from September the 15th, 2025. Any concerns? All in favor, let it be known by the word aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Ayes have it, so ordered, so carried, so adopted. Thank you so very much. We appreciate that. Moving right forward, new business, we're always glad to have members of the Baltimore County Police Department with us. Again, today they're back with us, and we appreciate your faithfulness in attending our meetings. Why don't you today go, whoever chooses to go first, introduce yourself, have comments, and also please give our regards to the chief.
Absolutely. Again, yes, thank you. I'm Major Rick Hearn.
Right? You stand. Oh, you got a marking now. Fantastic.
I apologize to the chief. Chief had a conflict this morning, but he sends his regards. I'm now entering my 4th month there. Everything's going well. I really have nothing for the group. We have great communication between Mr. Dirk and Ms. Phillips.
Good.
And that's really it. Do you all have any questions for myself while we're here, or the captain while we're here?
Okay. Great. Welcome. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Brian Shanks, the captain for internal affairs, the assistant commander with Rick. I've been with you all for the last year and a half. Again, happy communication. Again, Aiden's working out well. Lauren, as always, great. And all of you have been great. So anything you ever need from Rick or I, we are literally a block away. And we're always happy to be here. So please, any questions or anything you want to know from any and all of us, please don't hesitate to ask. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions? Any comments?
You guys are fully within? Yes. Yeah, 3 or 5 is great. We have 0 complaints. Very very happy.
Good, good. Is that where you relocated to?
Yes, national best practices said that for internal affairs to not be in a police station or police headquarters. The county had talked about that for several years, and it finally came to fruition in July. So we are down the street in a county office building, but we are the only police element there. We wear what Rick and I are wearing every day. Almost all of our colleagues wear the same.
Good.
So it should be more as comfortable as it can be for members of the public to come in.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yes, Ms. Ricketts?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Chairman.
I wanted to ask our representatives of the police, and thank you for being here. Has there been a response from the department about the recent report and banner article at the end of October on racial profiling in your driver stops?
I'm familiar with the report you're talking about. I would have to check with the chief and our director, Joy Stewart. I cannot answer for her, but I will get an answer for you and I will send it through the group here. Okay, sure.
Right, right, right. Let me just make a note here in terms of public comment. We're going to be as kind and gracious as we can to let you have comment. Please just be sensitive to timing. Keep it to less than 2 minutes or 3 minutes if possible. We'd rather not do the clock, but if we have to, we will. So please just understand that, all right? We like your integrated comment, but just be sensitive to time, all right?
I did have.
Go ahead, Peter.
You might not have an answer. Have you guys, wait, another question. Have you guys had any call-outs for the drone program?
Call it? Oh, absolutely. The first responder one?
Yeah.
Yes, I don't have those stats for you, but yes, I hear them on the radio frequently. They do use it.
Okay.
It's very well received by the members of the Towson community and the police department. So far as I know, it's been a successful operation so far, yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Those who are on the WebEx with us? Any thoughts, questions, comments for the police department? If not, thank you so very much. We appreciate again your being here and our kind regards to the chief. All right, we also have a member today, Deputy Chief Black is here from the Baltimore County Sheriff's Department. Welcome back, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Chief Deputy Black, Sheriff's Office. I'm available for any questions anyone may have. I have no specific updates to provide from the Sheriff's Office. Thankfully, our volume remains relatively low in this capacity.
Wow, it's always a good thing. Thank you. Any questions, comments, thoughts for Deputy Chief Black? All right. Well, everybody did off easy today. That's the holiday spirit. Thank you so much for always being there for us and coming. We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Have a good holiday. Moving right along, we're rolling today. Let's have a review and recap from our Administrative Charging Committee. Dawn? Steve?
The ACC met on October, for the fourth quarter of this year, October 3rd, 2025, November 7th, 2025, and December 5th, 2025. We rendered 54 opinions. Total out of those 54 were 12 use of force cases. There was one case involving the Sheriff's Department that was a complaint for assault, and that member was not charged. There were 53 cases involving police department members, and they are as follows. 7 complaints for use of force policy violation, 6 not charged, 1 charged, 12 departmental accidents, 12 charged, 4 complaints for investigation procedure policy violations, 1 charged, 3 not charged, 1 complaint for investigation procedure policy violation and filing criminal charges without probable cause, not charged, 1 complaint for body worn camera policy violation, investigation procedure policy violation, evidence recovery policy violation. The member was charged for the body worn camera policy violation and was not charged for investigation procedure policy violation and evidence recovery policy violation. 1 complaint for use of force policy violation, investigation procedure policy violation, body worn camera policy violation, and search, seizure, or entry procedure policy violation, and failure to identify self, not charged. 1 complaint for rude, discourteous, or unprofessional behavior, conduct, or language, threatening a citizen with vehicle seizure, not charged. 1 complaint for illegal arrest, not charged. 1 complaint for failure to take necessary police action, charged. 1 complaint for rude, discourteous, or unprofessional behavior, conduct, or language, providing inaccurate statements in a report, not charged. 1 complaint for unlawful citation and theft of property, not charged. 1 complaint for submitting an inaccurate application for statement of charges, not charged. 1 complaint for use of force and destruction, policy violation and destruction of property, not charged. 1 complaint for misconduct in office, conduct unbecoming on duty, sick or injured person policy violation, vehicle inspections and maintenance policy violation, and reporting procedures policy violation. That member was charged for all of those. 1 complaint for vehicle towing policy violation, not charged. 1 complaint for use of force policy violation and conduct unbecoming, not charged. 1 complaint for making a false statement, not charged. 1 complaint for failure to provide medical aid, not charged. 1 complaint for an inaccurate report, not charged. 1 complaint for lying under oath, not charged. 3 complaints for NCIC immigration violation related responses policy violation, 3 not charged. 1 complaint for rude, discourteous, or unprofessional behavior, conduct, or language, not charged. 1 complaint for rude, discourteous, or unprofessional behavior, conduct, or language, use of force policy violation, social media policy violation, and racial bias or discrimination or profiling, not charged. 1 complaint for failure to notify a supervisor of a use of force, failure to write a use of force required report, rude, discourteous, or unprofessional conduct, behavior, or language, body worn camera policy violation. That member was not charged for failure to notify a supervisor of a use of force. They were charged for failure to write a required use of force report, rude, discourteous, and unprofessional behavior, conduct, or language, and body worn camera policy violation. 1 complaint for failure to notify a supervisor of a use of force. There's a typo in that, so when you get that, sorry. Failure to write a required use of force report, rude, discourteous, or unprofessional behavior, conduct, or language, completing an inaccurate report. That member was not charged for failure to notify a supervisor of a use of force. They were charged for failure to write a required use of force report, rude, discourteous, or unprofessional behavior, conduct, or language, and completing an inaccurate report. 1 complaint for assault off duty, not charged. 1 complaint for inaccurate documentation in a police report, not charged. 1 complaint for rude, discourteous, or unprofessional behavior, conduct, or language while working secondary employment, and a use of force policy violation while working uniform secondary employment, not charged. 1 complaint for issuing an inaccurate traffic citation and improper threat to arrest, not charged. 1 complaint for investigation procedure policy violation and rude, discourteous, or unprofessional behavior, conduct, or language, not charged. 1 complaint for vehicle property inventory policy violation, not charged. Have any questions?
Just not going into detail, but like, case, can you explain what the violation, the immigration thing violation was? So that details. There was one.
Yeah,
Have we not had that one before?
We haven't had that one before, but I would be hesitant to share additional details without it being identified.
Do you know the policy?
Yeah, it's exactly what it said. Where was I? Hang on.
Yeah, that's
NCIC immigration violation related responses policy. It's in the field manual, so if you look that up, you'll see it. Yeah.
I think that caught all of our attention.
Yeah, this is the first time we've had that.
Well,
It is a specific
been-
policy, which is why we made, labeled it as that in the field manual.
yeah, but that was. That's supposed to be it.
Any questions for John in terms of the ACC report? Comments, thoughts?
Is it possible that that last charge that was read could be typed in the, is there a chat box just so I can get the exact language to look it up?
The very last one?
Yes.
I'll email it to Kelly now and she can put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Huh?
Any other questions, thoughts? Anybody? Don, thank you so very much for always representing us very well and for your work on the ACC.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. All right. Let's keep moving forward. Any information on the upcoming trial boards?
Yes.
So as of right now, we only have one trial board upcoming for next year. We have had a few trial boards since our last quarterly review. Our meeting on 9/25, we had a trial board. The officer involved was charged with failure to activate a body-worn camera, misrepresentation of facts on the police report, failure to properly package evidence, and failure to document information accurately. The outcomes of that were for that first charge on body-worn camera, guilty; on the misrepresentation of facts, not guilty; on failure to properly package evidence, guilty; and on failure to document accurately information, or failure to document information accurately, guilty. The discipline from that for charge 1 on the body-worn camera, written reprimand; charge 3 on the failure to properly package evidence, 1 day loss of leave; and for charge 4, failure to document information accurately, that was a written reprimand. We had another trial board that was scheduled for 11/25, 11/26. Unfortunately, that trial board was postponed due to the unavailability of the investigating detective. We have not had that one rescheduled yet. On 12/9, we were supposed to have a trial board that was canceled due to the officer who was subject of that trial board resigning from the county police department. And we have a trial board, we were supposed to have a trial board scheduled for 12/16 through 12/17. However, that has been canceled because the officer has accepted a settlement. For that, the officer was charged with assault, and they were charged with conduct unbecoming. I just got the settlement, so let me scroll to the discipline for that. For the charge 1, there was 2 days loss of leave, and for charge 2, 1 day loss of leave. And like I said, we have one trial board scheduled for January next year.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so very much, Aiden. We appreciate that. Any questions for the trial board report from Aiden?
There's a question in the chat from a Cynthia T. She's asking, are these charges tracked by officer?
Just for clarity, is that for the trial board or for the ACC? I mean, the answer for both.
I don't
is-
understand the
yeah.
question.
I don't even see where's the question?
I guess we should wait for public comment, though.
It's in the
Yeah.
chat.
We can come back to
Yeah.
it. Sure.
I don't want us to forget it.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Bianca Hughley. My question about the trial, you said settlement, that's just meaning they accepted the charges against them?
That means the officer involved accepted the charges as well as the discipline that accompanied it.
Okay, so was that the discipline that the ACC had recommended along with the internal affairs?
No, when things go to a trial board, it's decided on the people who sit on the members of the board. So it would be the administrative law judge, officer people rank, and then we have the civilian members who attend as well. They review the situation new with fresh eyes, and then they make determinations based off of their findings, and those also coincide with the disciplinary matrix as well.
Thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions? Again, thank you, Aiden. We appreciate that work as well. Moving forward to old business, one of the greatest responsibilities we have today is, of course, to review and adopt our 2025 annual report. May I upfront say thank you to those members who were drafting our annual report to keep this rolling while I was out of the country. Aiden, thank you. Lauren, thank you. Dawn, Nigeria, Tiffany, thank you. And if I missed anybody, thank you also. Y'all kept this project going, and I think it has brought us to a place today where we can perhaps conclude our report, our drafting report. Let's go right to our draft that we have at hand. It's on the screen. And Aiden, would you like to walk us through it?
Yep, no problem. So I'll go ahead and walk us through it similarly to how we did it last year.
Sure.
All members of the PAB have already received this draft copy and have the opportunity to provide feedback. Obviously, an opportunity to provide feedback today as well. Most of the report this year is largely similar to that of last year's. And before I get any further, I'd also like to reiterate thank you to the subcommittee for taking the time to draft work with me on this report. It being my first time, it was really helpful to have the institutional knowledge. Thank you, Don, for the data. Thank you, Nigeria, for your eagle eye on the detail. Thank you, Tiffany, for weighing in as well. So as we move through the report, we have our typical cover page. We also have the same message from Bishop Dennis with some minor changes. The biggest change for this report is for this portion of the report is a paragraph that Bishop Dennis provided, which reads as still, we must be candid, the scope of our authority as prescribed by state law is narrow. The Maryland statutory title of accountability does not get aligned with the board's operational reality. To align our statutory title with operational reality, this board seeks direct access to additional information, raw data, and to build out and work with capacity to draft informed and insightful reports that go beyond general observations. This narrow role risk reducing the PAD to symbolic role rather than one that fulfills the community's rightful expectations of oversight. That was the biggest change to this portion of the message. Would you like to add anything to that, Bishop Jones?
No, I'm good.
Sounds good. Moving on, we go to the history, purpose, and state and county requirements. This section is largely unchanged as well. We did make one addition to the last paragraph, which is language that acknowledges that Baltimore County has passed has redistricted, and that as a result of redistricting, we are tracking and monitoring how the PAB will be made up. And yes.
Okay.
I do have a question about that.
Yeah.
So our rules of procedure, and I believe Baltimore County Code specifically say of the 7 districts, they don't say each of the districts. So we would need, like, I think the planning board says the same thing, and they're not adding new members for the 2 additional districts. So would we need to alter our language to be 9 districts instead of 7 for that?
Yeah, we have a team looking internally to see what the provisions have to
Okay.
be changed. So there's a group of people internally looking at that.
Okay.
And then once they identify all the areas that we
Okay.
need to make revisions.
Okay,
we'll do
thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lauren. Any other questions about that last edition?
So the timeline is supposed sometime during 2026, I guess?
Yes,
Okay.
and we'll hopefully have, guidance in terms of we will have guidance, I should say, for when
Okay.
the changes occurs. We know that some people have questions just that, some people's terms are ending in 2026. So we're tracking that and we'll have something for you guys.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have the chart or roster of the accountability board members, which has the member's name, district, term, and then profession. Then we move into the roster for the ACC membership. Same thing, name of the member, their who they appoint, how they were appointed to the administrative charging committee, their term, and then profession as well. And then we have our civilian trial board roster. Just for your awareness, Nigeria, I saw that you recommended doing this alphabetically. I did it alphabetically by last name. So that was I didn't make that change per your feedback. Moving on, we have the administrative staff roster, which just has my name and my job title, as well as Kelly name and her job title. Next is the chart for police accountability board meetings. We will not be adding today's information recording agenda minutes to this year's annual report. But don't worry, because at the bottom we do provide a link to the reader, so that way they can access the report once it's published. For the December ACC meeting, I am hoping to get that done and uploaded into the chart. Just waiting on IT to upload the last bit of information for that. But in the event that it doesn't occur, same thing, that link will take users to that information as well. Moving on, we have the, yes, sir.
Quick correction. In the chief roster, you have Egon, Nigeria, was a second term of Chip Dennis is in the second term as well.
Where are you looking at?
This doesn't show, there's a parenthetical under term that shows we're like second term, but you also.
Okay.
I'll make sure.
Drafting committee next year, that's a big match.
You don't.
And then Nigeria as well. Okay, nice catch.
Sorry.
Go ahead and say
that.
Oh,
Is that trouble?
yeah, I was lost for a moment, but I see where you are in terms of what term we are in.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I just added
We either have it or not.
the very official Dennis as well.
Okay.
Next is the complaint misconduct, the police misconduct complaint process graphic. This is the same graphic. It has not changed. But we were able to, I was able to combine the documents so that way it showed up better and read clearer on the draft. So that was a good win. And then Nigeria is able to center it so that way it looked nice. So next we will go into the graphics. So as I mentioned, the graphics are largely the same as last year. I did add some clarifying language to any graphic that I felt like could really benefit from an explanation. So starting with this first graphic, this is the total number of cases and outcomes. So and for all the graphics, anything that results in that is not charged is in blue, and anything that is charged is in gold. But going to this first chart, this is the number of total cases and outcomes. So if you combine these together, these two numbers equal all of the cases that the ACC heard from December 2024 to November 2025. Moving on to figure 2, this shows the total number of allegations that are there.
Let me just a minute, make sure everybody's up with you, that you're talking beyond the speed limit.
I was going out.
Everybody with him, with us so far? So let's go back to that first graphic. Total number of cases and outcomes. Where is the total number of cases?
You add the two numbers together.
You have to add the two together. Okay, why did we decide not to list what that total number were so you didn't have to do that? Total number of cases dash 314, whatever that comes out to, I think that's what it is. I'm only asked that because it makes it easier.
It was a little confusing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an explanation. So.
I can go ahead and ask.
Okay. If we can just do that, it just makes the data much easier to analyze.
Another style point.
Yeah.
When you abbreviate BCPD, is that what we're going to do? Because there's often confusion between Baltimore City and Baltimore County. BCO, lowercase o, PD.
Yeah, maybe add the lowercase.
I think
B-
city is
city
just BPD though.
But you're right, normally the county is initialed with the little.
Just it'd be however you want to style it.
Yeah, so I just have it on the live version of B code PD. We got you.
I'm pretty sure I just had all to say.
Mr. Durkin?
Yes.
So on your graph, you have the number at the top of your graphs, but in the preceding pages, they're in the center of your graphs, just for conformity. Are you gonna keep the total number at the top or at the center?
So for the subsequent graphs, the numbers that are in the center of those like bar graphs are showing the raw number of how much of that 300 of that like color is like represented. So if you're looking at figure 3, 258, that is of the 316 other allegations, 258 of those were not charged.
But between figure 1 and figure 2, the numbers are.
Yeah.
Or just for conformity's sake, because like you're saying, if I gotta add the numbers, if they're sitting on the center of the bar at the top.
That was a good catch as well, yeah. That was good.
So moving on to what we will be on page, what, 10? Yeah.
Yes. So for figures 3, 4, and 5, the graphics will show the distribution of allegation types and outcomes. For the purposes of these charts and the following, allegations are broken down into 3 categories. One ACC case involving an officer may include 1 allegation or may include multiple allegations. When deciding a case, the ACC reviews each allegation individually and determines whether an officer is or is not administratively charged for each respective allegation. Moving on to how we provide the definition of the different categories as well, starting with use of force. This is any incident in which an officer was accused of violating the Baltimore County Police Department's use of force policy. Included in the charge category are cases where officers were charged with a policy violation as part of a broader complaint that included an alleged violation of the use of force policy. For instance, an officer may be alleged to have violated the use of force policy as well as being rude and discourteous. If the officer was not charged for violating use of force policy, but was charged for rude and discourteous conduct, that appears under the use of force category for the purposes of the lower chart.
Okay. And car incidents.
Yeah, and these are largely the same as we had from last year. So starting with moving on to figure 3, we have allegation type and outcome overview. So these are the raw numbers for the different types of allegations. So as I mentioned, for the other category, there were 316 of the other allegations. Of those 250, of those 315, 258 were not charged, 58 were charged, and the same applies for use of force and departmental car accidents.
Okay, again, we're using percentages with no reference to numbers.
So the percentages are listed under figure 4.
Under figure
These are
4.
roll numbers, right?
Got it.
3 is
Three
numbers,
is-
raw numbers.
3 is raw numbers,
Three
figure
is-
4 is the percentages.
Got it.
Yes, and the figure 3 and 4 include the same information, it just shows it in different ways. Like I said, that first one is the raw numbers, that second one is the percentage breakdown. For figure 5, this is the breakdown of charged versus not charged for each of those buckets in percentages.
Okay.
Moving on to figure 6, 7, 8, and 9. These are pie charts that are, for figure 6, it shows the outcomes of all allegations filed over the 12-month period from December 2024 to November 2025. For figure 7, it's the outcomes for all allegations other than use of force or departmental car accident for the 12-month period of December 2024 to November 2025. Figure 8 is the outcomes of all department car accidents and allegations from December 24 to November 25. And then figure 9 is allegations for use of force. This is all outcomes of use of force allegations from December 24 to November 25. And then for figure 10, this is the outcome of all distinct cases involving a use of force allegation.
Can we go back to 7 a minute?
Yes, sir.
Where's your explanation for 7?
It's underneath here. It's just,
Okay, I got a different copy. That's what, I must be looking at a different copy here. I have.
You have them?
Yeah. I probably the one Kelly gave me today. I got the one I pulled offline, yeah. Yep, it's different. Okay.
So for figure 10, this is for outcome of all the distinct cases in which involve use of force allegations. So this is for cases where there was a use of force allegation plus another. So as we mentioned earlier, some use of force cases can have a use of force allegation plus rude and discourteous. This shows those cases here and the breakdown of the charges for those as well.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, please.
Thank you very much, Peter Richkus. These pie charts look very similar, maybe just graphically, to the police data board. Dashboard. Thank you. Are these from the dashboard or are they going to be included in the dashboard or as part of the police department reporting or not?
So the first part, answer your question, all of this data is made up from the data provided by Dawn to BC Stat, and that is a separate line of effort from that dashboard. As I understand it now, this information is not going to be included in the dashboard because this is specific to the ACC.
Doesn't the dashboard include some data similar to this?
It does, and I mean, we can certainly talk, so our BC Stat team is the one that creates these graphs and the ones that go on the dashboard, and we can certainly have a discussion with them and see if something like this can be included on the dashboard, but I'm not absolutely certain on how they selected what's included, so I can't speak for sure, but I'm happy to reach out to them.
I appreciate that. That leads me to ask, shouldn't the information be the same?
No, the numbers
Yeah.
I can tell you no, because the dashboard, these are complaints that involve a member of the public. The dashboard would also include an administrative complaint, so something that the department is alleging there could be potential misconduct themselves, but it did not involve a member of the public. So like a very simple one would be not being out of uniform, something like that. So that doesn't involve a member of the public, but it would be a complaint from the department, but it wouldn't come to us. So it wouldn't be in our numbers, but it would be in theirs. Does that make sense?
That very helpful. I appreciate that. My other question has to do with why use of force category includes things that are not use of force.
Oftentimes there are complaints that involve a use of force policy violation being alleged, but it also includes, I mean, like you saw today, it also includes a laundry list of other complaints. So we don't want to totally discount those as not being use of force complaint because it has other things involved in it. But they do involve a use of force policy violation complaint.
The use of force is in figure 9, that is specifically use of force. So,
Unless it's
Yes.
okay,
right.
Without
And then like
anything
figure 10
involved.
is
We showed
use of force with everything else and something.
Yeah, some are just the use of force policy
Something else might
violation
have-
allegations. Other ones, a lot of times it's usually other allegations involved with it.
email on that one. Thank you.
So if they're found guilty of some of the lesser,
Another
what
thought.
to my public mind would be lesser, they're lumped together. And so then doesn't that skew numbers one way or the other?
We could have the number though for.
Yeah.
Figure 9 is specific.
Yeah, it's extrapolated.
Use of force. So that number is available. It's just,
Mhm.
I'm,
Okay, I see what you're saying. Thank
And
you.
figure 10 is intended to show the totality of those circumstances. So as you mentioned, as described earlier, like for data in figure 10 and some and in other graphs where we talk about it, like the goal is just to show to the reader that it's use of force and something else, or it can be use of force and something else. And then we also specifically provide the use of force allegations to show how many use of force allegations were there, how many of them were substantiated by the ACC, and how many weren't.
Thank you.
All right.
So then figure 11 feeds off figure 10. So what we see in figure 11 is all of the different additional charges for those use of force cases that have the additional charge. And then it further breaks down, for the first one, we see rude and discourteous / unprofessional behavior. It breaks down. Of those cases where there's use of force plus rude and discourteous, there were 2 that were charged by the ACC and 4 that were not. But that's specific to those rude and discourteous behavior allegations.
In terms of readability, is that the best we can get that?
I was about to say.
Is that the best we can get that?
Yeah, we can probably see, I don't know if Aiden can do it or if BC Stat can modify it to bold the language or bold the letters to make it a little more distinct.
Yeah.
Or it could be a print job. I'm not sure how.
Yeah.
The way they provide it to me is like screenshots, so I'll reach out to BC Stat, see if they can provide in that image.
Yeah, it'd be great if we could.
If they can bold it, and then I can see how I can make it fit within the page so that we were getting as much detail as possible.
Yeah, as we discussed before, I'd rather have more pages and have it readable than to have less pages and can't understand what we're reading. So if that we can do that, it'd be great.
So moving on, so figure 12 is when we start to kind of have like 12A, B, C, and so on and so forth. That's just because it was broken up. Sorry, it wasn't just like one massive graph. So in going back to that figure 5, which is the distribution of allegation types, figure 12 shows all of those other allegations. It breaks all of those down and shows, again, how many of those charges were charged by the ACC and how many of those other charges were not charged by the ACC.
Okay.
And it's just, okay.
I noticed like in figure 11, so I'm not sure that the people online can hear you.
Yep. Straight. Yeah.
Just got to.
For figure 11, it states failure to provide medical care. And then on figure, I'm sorry, let me get the right wording.
Yeah, about half dozen down the page.
Yes.
Medical care.
Like maybe 6, yeah.
Two.
Failure to provide medical care, and on figure 12A, it says failure to provide medical aid. Have we made sure we haven't listed things twice? Because providing medical care versus medical aid sounds very similar.
So the way that we break that, these are broken out with BC Stat is they break them out as they receive them. So that means that they received failure to provide medical aid and failure to provide medical care from the ACC, and the ACC receives their charges from internal affairs. So and correct me, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, John, or, you know, those charges that are provided are set. So that means there is a difference between our failure to provide medical aid and failure to provide medical
There's
care.
almost always a difference. So we've been very intentional in standardizing our labels. So we point ourselves directly to policy, such and such policy violation. So it's possible these were from earlier in the year before we try to do better each meeting at making sure everything's, does that make sense?
Yes.
So it could be very similar. It's just it was labeled differently from one meeting to another. Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But it definitely is, they definitely aren't duplicated. They're separate cases.
You have a question, Pete?
No, it's because it could very well be separate things.
Yeah, they're definitely
One could be
separate.
calling, you know,
Yeah.
the other would be actually rendering care that they're supposed to be
Yeah.
trained or rendered.
Thank you for your thought, John. Okay, sorry, so like I said, figure 12A, B, C, D, and E are bar graph versions, are all the same graph, just broken up so that way they can fit on one page. And then for this year, we've also created figure 13, which is also broken down by letter. And this is actually a table version of figure 12. So that way you could, for those who prefer to see it in a bar graph form, they can. And for those who would find it easier to review the chart, they have the chart option as well. And that is it for data pieces. Yeah. We'll get to the next. We'll get to the trends later, but for this part, that's it.
Formatting,
Yes.
just in terms of formatting.
I would say if we could do all of the 13 tables exactly as it is in 13E, so one per page.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not the most environmentally friendly, but it's easier to read.
Much easier to read. And since the 13s reference the 12s,
I mean, you could, in theory, remove 12.
that's what I would suggest. That way we're comparing data with data. Just one format versus another, but I think it makes it much more comprehensible.
Okay.
13B and D, the total allegation charged number, that column is cut off.
Okay. That'll get fixed when I remove the 12 and put everything on their own page.
Thank you.
So, but just so everybody's on the same page, we're gonna go ahead and remove 12 and just leave 13 for Bishop Genesis request.
I think that's much.
Yeah, I think
better.
that makes more sense in
Yeah.
just because they're so small.
Yeah.
And they're so, the numbers are so small, I think it makes better sense in the graph.
And so one thing to point that is different, so under the figure 13, we have total allegations and total allegations charged. So whereas with bar graphs, you do have, situations where you could have like, you will lose that like not charged piece. Obviously it's there if you do the math, but it's not gonna it's not there. If you would like, we can.
Can we add the column?
To say.
Yeah, we're just gonna do one per page. We have room for a column. Thank you. I like that much better than these bar graphs.
When I was talking to DC said, I was like, hey, there's only one and like, maybe a chart would be better. So
Yeah.
they made both and I was like, I'll provide both and if anybody has a problem.
And then those will be renumbered as 12.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any concerns with the board from those suggestions? Other members of the board that are not in the room? Did you hear the suggestions? Did you understand them? Do you agree?
They're fine.
Okay,
I also agree.
okay,
Nothing additional.
okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. Moving on, we have our trial board data for the outcomes of the trial boards that happened this year. So it's pretty much the same thing that was provided to you all during the report outs of the trial boards, just in a chart form. Last year, I added some extra columns and just formatting, and Nigeria improved upon the formatting. So that way it reads it better and gives more information, but other than that, it's pretty much the same as what we provided from previous years. And then now we get to the trends and discipline. So for this year, we do have a trends and discipline analysis. It is important to acknowledge though that due to the limitation, like whenever you're doing a trends, it's important that whatever you're comparing is done so with, as accurately as possible. So for this year, we are doing a 10-month comparison. So it would be the 10 months of 2024, which is January of 24 to, I believe it's October of 24, and same for January of 25 to October 25.
Okay.
And that's just again because last year the annual report only provided that 10 months worth of data.
Correct.
Important to acknowledge, so moving forward, this data range, we are going to be following a new data range moving forward that is first implemented here for this year's 2025 data. We will be including data between November of 2020. So for next year's report, so next year's report will include December 2025 through November 2026, and we will do the comparison for trends and discipline between December 2025, December 2026, and then the 12 months prior to that, for the year prior.
That's excellent.
So it will be a 12-month range. It's just not going to be a January to December. It will just be that, and that's just so
not a calendar year.
Yep, and with the December data, you always run into this: do we have time when we have time type of situation? But in doing this, we do get that 12-month window, so it's a great change, I think, for this year. But this is the chart that BCSAT provided for us on that. And there's some language underneath that just refers readers to go back to the definitions of use of force, car accidents, and others earlier in the page, and I'll make sure that page number is correct once I make the final page.
Okay. Take a look at that chart. If you have any questions, thoughts, concerns for Aiden, let's discuss it now. Because I think this is a chart that's a lot of eyes are going to plant on. They're going to focus on this chart.
I would add a percentage sign for the total percentages chart, even though it's labeled percentage.
Yeah, sounds good.
This is Scott Richmond. I had a question on the trial board data. I don't know if this is for Aiden or Dawn, but do we get information as to when, if any times, an officer files for judicial review within 30 days? Like essentially appeals the trial board decision?
Not currently, but I would say hold for one of our policy recommendations. I think that'll answer your question, Scott.
Okay.
So, but just to revisit, any questions on the discipline, trends and discipline? This is the first one that we've done as a board. So, hearing none, I'll move on to our policy recommendations. So for our policy recommendations, we've added one new one and kept two that were unsubstantiated or we feel could be have additional asks. So the first, for recommendation 1, it's the request to remove departmental car accidents from the jurisdiction of the ACC, except when the complaint is filed by a member of the public against the officer. This is unchanged from last year's report.
Yes.
The language is entirely the same. Recommendation 2, it's require the Maryland Police Training and Standards Commission and PTSC to increase the number of trainings offered during the calendar year.
Last year.
Yeah, it's kind of like a half-ass. The last year there were 2 pieces for it. The first part was to request that they post the schedule of the trainings for a year for the year in advance, and the second part of that request was to have them more frequently. They have the MPTSC has posted their annual trainings, but the frequency is still what it was. So that's why we're making that request again. But this language is just tailored specifically to the request to increase the frequency of trainings.
Okay.
And then our third recommendation is a new one. So upon final disposition, provide for the Police Accountability Board a redacted copy of opinions drafted by the Administrative Charging Committee. So current procedure, as we all saw for the outcomes of cases, is Dawn reads a very long list of numbers and words and says, this is what we did. To enhance the PAB's ability to identify trends and discipline and policing matters, we are going to make the change to provide to the members of the PAB redacted copies of ACC opinions upon final disposition. So to add some context here, final disposition can mean a few different things. It can be the ACC has issued an opinion. The office that opinion is given to do the relevant law enforcement entity. An officer accepts those charges and the discipline that comes with it. That's final disposition. Final disposition could also be an officer does not accept the charges and the discipline and then moves to go towards a trial board. If they go to a trial board, they accept the settlement agreement or just they accept the rulings of the trial board, that would be final disposition. And the other option, which Scott mentioned earlier, is that judicial review. Officers after a trial board do have the option to appeal the result of the trial board in circuit court. Once that plays out, that would be final disposition. So what we're going to do is we're going to work with our partners in internal affairs to identify when cases reach final disposition, and then we provide to members of the PAB those redacted copies of the opinions. It is important to acknowledge that in addition to that, we still have to maintain a level of discretion with these. So to help to shore that up, members of the PAB will be signing confidentiality agreements that reflect their commitment to maintain discretion with those opinions. But this is our new policy recommendation change for this year.
And I believe that sort of completes the report as drafted, right?
Yes. So just to summarize the changes, I've got to add some totals for the figures that don't have them. I'll make sure that the formatting for the numbers in the graphs are proper. We have some that are in the middle of the bar, some that are on top. I'll work with BC staff on sharp percentages, adding figure 13, adding the column figure 13 and removing figure 12.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
I have just page 4, 9, 10, and 11. At the bottom of page 4, the fourth line up, ACC determines whether the charges are unfounded or the officers. It should be allegations are unfounded instead of charges.
Oh, yeah. That junction, it's not a charge.
Where is this on?
Bottom of page 4, it's if you're going from the bottom up, it's the fourth line.
Got it. Allegation.
And I have a couple more.
Or what's next page?
Page 9. It's alongside the chart, figure 2. Should be allegations instead of charges.
So I have allegations on my end here. So
Okay,
I have
perfect.
multiple allegations to be filed against. Okay.
And then 10 and 11, the same thing. It might be fixed on yours.
And yeah, where do you see it? There's a lot of text.
Along this side.
Okay.
Yeah, this
Got
category
it.
includes all allegations.
Yep, I see that. Okay, I'll have them.
It should be total number of allegations, not charges, for so figure 3 and 4.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
on
so.
the graph itself.
Thank you, Dawn.
Ready.
Can I ask a question regarding the annual report?
Please. You have your mic?
Thank you. Peter Richkus asking about the recommendations included in the final report. I'm one of the people who have suggested that the PAB and the ACC should have independent counsel. Have you all considered asking for that from the General Assembly? My ask was originally to the County Council because I believe that they have the power to make that clear, but it would be ideal for all of the PABs in Maryland if the General Assembly would add clarifying language.
Everybody from the board here, Ms. Lisk's question? We'll make sure they heard it online as well. Good? I don't know the answer to that.
Just briefly, we haven't explored outside counsel, but I can let you know that as of pretty recently, the Office of Law, in months prior, we had one attorney from the Office of Law representing both the PAB and the ACC. And effective a couple weeks ago, I think, maybe sometime in November, it's actually two separate attorneys now. One has been assigned to the PAB and one has been assigned to the ACC. So we do have separate counsel for each.
I think the idea is somebody totally outside of the
I
county.
do understand that, yep, and we have not explored that option yet, but
Well,
there
the
was.
PAB hasn't discussed it in its. I would support that.
Well, it'd
So-
have to be a request of the county council
Yeah.
because the enabling legislation, so there's enabling legislation from the state that laid out requirements. And then when the council, it's enabling legislation, it had options. And one option was to provide counsel or outside counsel and they elected to provide it from the Office of Law. So it would be a request to the council. I think Mr. Richards is asking, like, would this be something our PAB, I guess, would advance to make her?
I think our question was, have we considered making that a recommendation in our annual report?
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
And we did not consider. We did not. And
I had thought to suggest that I would have. If I had thought to suggest that I would have, but I didn't.
let's think about that. Let's think about that. I mean, it's not a bad suggestion or a recommendation. That's really what it would be. Let's think about that off record.
If I may add just one comment. I appreciate the fact that the law department has seen fit to have two different attorneys assigned. I think that reflects the fact that they realize there could be a conflict. And the point about independent counsel to begin with is that there is an obvious conflict with using the Office of Law in the first place, because their fiduciary responsibility is to the county, not to the board and not to police accountability. And so I'm glad that you will be considering it.
Yeah.
The tendency of the Office of Law in many matters is always to take the narrowest perspective and look out for the interests and the exposure of the county. And that doesn't necessarily serve the citizens or even the police and trust in police. So thank you for taking it under consideration.
One well taken. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Just, I have a suggestion, because I feel like it's a little unfair and until too late to add this level of complexity to this report. We'd have to meet again. We have to draft it, meet again, approve that. Could we, in our next meeting in March, consider like drafting a resolution to request this from the county?
What's your thoughts? Any discussion on that?
If there is interest in it, or we could.
Yeah.
Well, I would ask first, I do have one request. This is the first time hearing we have separate attorneys now. We've never been updated when there's been a change. They could just let the boards know who our assigned attorney is and when that changes. That way we know who to reach out to. I think it's more than appropriate for us to have outside counsel outside of the county. A lot of other county boards have that.
I'm just thinking in terms of mechanics, I think it's kind of hard.
Yeah, it's the 11th hour for
7:15.
this report, but I think it's important to discuss and bring up. But I don't know the
Okay.
logistics of how we get it.
Suggestion also. If, since the selection process has been made, I should say that no one was aware of it. At the very least, allow the boards to be involved in the interview process. Because I remember when I first sued the county, Jennifer Frankovich had represented the department. She's with the Office of Law. And so let's say Jennifer Frankovich gets assigned to the ACC. She's previously been representing the police department in lawsuits to support getting rid of the lawsuit. So that is a conflict of interest. And the board should at least be able to say, you know what, Jennifer has represented the police too many times to be able to represent us. Thank you.
Thank you. So your recommendation is that we revisit
I'm
this in
not sure how
March?
to make that, within the confines of
Of
both
this
order.
report, sure.
With it, Like, I just don't think that it's feasible to add it to the report, but I feel like this is not a topic we should take up in the new year in some sort of formal way that we could address to the council.
Thank you,
I would
Peter.
agree. Mhm.
So we would put
Sorry.
an agenda for March.
And just to address your request, like, identifying council, at the next PAD meeting, we will have your, liaison council there as well, so introductions as well.
But they were already assigned to us. We just don't know who it is. Do you know who it is? We don't.
Yeah, it's Urban Johnson. He was
Okay.
supposed to be here, but he was off today, so.
Okay.
So I just wanted to add really quickly that I do agree that we should have outside counsel. There is obviously a clear difference for having outside counsel, and also that we should be somehow involved in the interview process as well.
Thank you, Nigeria. Scott, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted to make a slightly, let me address that and I'll make a slightly related comment. I mean, I agree it's good to have separate counsel. Obviously, if there's a conflict issue that, that needs to be addressed within the law department. One thing, and this is related to recommendation number 3, and it may need more exploring than I think is, really possible right now. But, I know we all spent a lot of time, at the board and public comments with earlier in the year, I believe it was this year, earlier in this year about the, what the statutory definition or interpretation of reviewing complaints means as far as the board. And then, as opposed to simply just forwarding them along, receiving complaints was the language. And there was some disagreement on how that should be interpreted. The issue is not the right word I have, but the something I think that needs some thought put into it. And I don't mean to imply that there wasn't any. I think I'm very impressed with the report and the recommendations, but I think something that maybe a better way to say it is requires more dialogue and frankly, probably an opinion from the law department. The issue under public safety article, and this is the 3-102 sub A4, which is on a quarterly basis review outcomes of disciplinary matters considered by charging committees. What's interesting to me is it does not say review final dispositions. And so, and whether that's purposeful or not by the, legislature is one consideration. But to me, outcomes, and I look at this a little bit more narrowly, is, do we get, Dawn basically saying this is sustained, this was not sustained, which is one form of an outcome, or do we get the opinion, which is also another form of an outcome? So I think there's some ambiguity as to what outcomes we should be reviewing. I also think, and I don't know if it's necessary in the last, although was one question I had for Dawn. In the final recommendation, it says to protect the confidentiality of the cases, members of the PAB will be required to sign affidavits of confidentiality, similar to what's signed by members of the ACC. And I wanted to make sure I understood, because I know under the COMAR provisions, all PAB members already sign, they sign statements of confidentiality, and the statement is different from an affidavit from a legal standpoint. But
Right.
2, under the COMAR provision as it pertains to the PAB, and then the public safety article under the Maryland statute as it pertains to the ACC, it requires that confidentiality be maintained until final disposition, which almost implies that once there is a final disposition, there's no longer a confidentiality requirement.
Yeah.
So, and obviously there may be certain parts where there's still other confidentiality requirements due to employment law or protected information. But I just want to make sure we're being specific in what we're requesting as far as, is it the outcome? Is it the final disposition? When we say maintain confidentiality, what confidentiality are we maintaining? Is it what the opinion says? Is it, the opinion's okay, but, the name of the officer, the name of the complainant, that's still being redacted. So I just think we'll need some more parameters, I think, in what, our recommendation is. I do think there's work to be done here, which I think is really embodied in the recommendation here, is that more information is better for us for identifying trends. And I do personally think it doesn't necessarily need to be the final disposition, what the trial board ultimately reviews or what a judge ultimately says, to me, doesn't necessarily affect what policies are being alleged to have been violated and what's being charged. I think that's probably an important data point for us, where we're seeing a lot of people are complaining about rude and discourteous behavior. Whether that's ultimately found to be sustained or not sustained by the trial board or by a judge may not change the fact that there's data for us there to say, hey, the public is not understanding that, or conversely, officers are not understanding what's rude and discourteous behavior. So anyway, I know I said a lot there, but that's sort of my thoughts on some different areas that I think we need to probably spend some more time in the new year. But I do agree. I think for reviewing outcomes, I do think there'd be benefit to us having redacted versions of the opinions. And when I say redacted, I mean identifying information that's protected due to some other law with respect to complainant confidentiality or some type of employer protections. But I do think having more information as to what's actually alleged to have been charged would be helpful. And obviously, I think we should all maintain confidentiality, although I don't know if it's an affidavit that's appropriate, but Dawn might know better than I on that specific as it pertains to ACC.
I'm almost positive, I would have to look at my email to see what I returned, but I'm almost positive the ACC's confidentiality agreement extends beyond final disposition. So for us, it's the end of time.
Yeah, it's interesting because under the 3-104 sub H, it's a member of administrative charging committee shall maintain confidentiality relating to a matter being considered by the administrative charging committee until final disposition of the matter. No, I'm not saying there isn't some other provision that has to be read in conjunction with that. But I've always found interesting that language, and also as pertains to the PAB, that confidentiality is presumed until final disposition of the matter. And like I said, there may still be certain things that still are confidential until the end of time. But I don't, and frankly, I've never understood what once final disposition changes, what or occurs, what confidential information or previously confidential information are we now allowed to disclose that was previously confidential. So anyway, I think there, and I'm happy to work with any other members to sort of hone down our specific recommendations on that issue.
I think that might have been a reference back to the change in the Anton's law change, where they removed disciplinary records from protected employee records for police. So that might be a deference to that, possibly.
Okay. Thanks, Scott. We've got some work to do in the coming year to make sure that when our days are up, that whoever comes to the plate to have something to swing with. Okay. Any other questions, concerns, thoughts? We're at the end of assessing this draft with the recommendations of corrections, et cetera, that have been made. If you're satisfied that all those additions or editing suggestions have been made, we are at a point where we can make a motion to accept this draft.
And just to acknowledge, there's some stuff I will work with BC staff as well to get the ones that I just need to work to have them provide to me. But I want you to know that I'll be doing that. You accepting it? And report would be the knowledge that I'm
with your knowledge, you're gonna make those changes. Absolutely, sir.
Yep, I just want to make sure you guys.
Absolutely, sir. If there are no further thoughts or questions, can I get a motion to accept this this version of the annual report? Scott?
I can make a motion that the Baltimore County Police Accountability Board hereby adopt the 2025 annual report as drafted and also as implemented the revisions discussed today.
Second.
Probably moving second that we adopt this draft of the annual report with the changes that we have been recommended thus far. You've heard the motion, take time to consider. Are you prepared to vote? All those in favor, let know by the word aye.
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 Are there any who oppose? So ordered unanimously, ayes. This report is adopted. Thank you, Aiden, for a lot of work. Dawn, Nigeria, Tiff, Lauren, thank you. This was a lot of work and we appreciate it. When is the actual submission of this due?
So it's due by December 31st.
December 31st.
We'll have it in before then.
Okay, great. I'm not out of the country between now and then, so if you need me, let me know. So,
I have a quick question. Who is Bradley Neitzel? He's on as a panelist, but he's not a member.
who's that?
He's filling in, so Mr. Johnson, the newly assigned PAB attorney, he couldn't be here today, and I just wanted to provide some.
Okay.
insight.
Okay.
He's
You
part
didn't
of that
recognize
office?
the name.
He's counsel, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. See, this PBA team is vigilant. It's good. All right, thank you so very much for a job well done. Let's move on. We have today with us some members of our public sector. I know they've had some commentary, Terry, as we've gone along, but at this juncture, your special thoughts or questions or observations, you're welcome to make them. Yes, Ms. Risketts?
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you to the members of the board. I know that you work very hard, and I'm especially glad that members of the Baltimore County Police Accountability Coalition pushed hard that you would be compensated in at least a small way, even against the objections of Councilman Julian Jones. So you probably deserve a raise. Everything that the advocates have done has been to build to your success, because your success is good not only for the police department, but for the trust the public has in the police department, and thus for all of our greater safety. Obviously, though, speaking for myself, there's still more work that can be done. And I urge you to lean forward into those things and to make recommendations to the council if you think it's helpful, to forward the recommendations at the end of the report to your members of the legislative offices, so that those can be considered to be actually introduced during the General Assembly session. It starts January 14th and it ends in April. So I urge you not to just wait for your next meeting. Those of you who've been here a long time may recall, we advocates didn't think quarterly meetings were often enough anyway. So, but I did want to ask a question about those recommendations. What happens to them? They're in the annual report, but then are they forwarded to the police department? Are they forwarded to the legislative office of the county executive? What happens to them?
I believe it's for the county executive. So
It goes to the county executive and the chair of the county council. We post it online as well for anybody to see on our website. I do not believe it's sent to the legislature though. That's not something that I.
No, it's shared with our Office of Government Affairs personnel, just in case there's anything on there that they could communicate with the legislatures on.
Maybe you could lobby a little harder for them to actually go into effect, because they would impact possibly not only legislation, but also possibly the police department's procedural manual. And so I ask that of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other public comments? There's one online.
If anybody would like to speak, if you put your hand up, I'll unmute you. I believe Ms. Landers.
No one online?
Do you have, who I don't believe Ms. Cynthia T is on any longer, but she had a question. But we checked.
We good? We're good. Let's keep rolling. Fantastic. It's been a great meeting. I think we've gotten a lot done. I think a lot of us have common thoughts, questions, concerns. We know that everything won't be resolved immediately. Some things we're going to have to keep on our plates until we get some action that satisfies our overall objective. So we're committed to do that. With that being said, our calendar for next year has been established. Our next meeting for this, the PAB will be on Monday, March the 16th, 2026 at 12 p.m. right here in this room at the historic courthouse. So make sure you flag your calendars. I'm sure Kelly's going to be making us aware and reminding us. If something changes between now and then, we will also be advised of that as well. Any final questions, thoughts, concerns before we adjourn this meeting today? Any at all? Any at all? So if I go through you real quick, just to make sure you're good. Nigeria, Tiffany, Karen, Scott, anybody online or here in the room? Renee? Peter? No? With that being said, again, let me say thank you for a year of great service, and I commend all of you for a job well done. Let's do all we can to make sure we are effective and efficient in what has been dubbed as our responsibilities. I appreciate your hard work. I agree with Ms. Rick that a raise would certainly help. I think we're by the way, and just as a matter, I think the boards do their final paycheck. Am I correct? And everybody got their final pay? Because I know there's time that Henry had to intervene for that.
So we work with payroll because it's flag it for us.
Okay.
I will double check and make sure that has not happened. If it hasn't happened, that it will happen.
It's the fourth quarter. I think the fourth quarter, right? Am I right about that? It's that has not been received. Okay. With that being said, for those of you who celebrate Happy Hanukkah, to those who celebrate Merry Christmas and otherwise Happy Holidays, be safe. Enjoy your family time together, and Lord be willing, we'll see each other on March the 16th, right here in this room, unless there are any changes that come about. At that juncture,
Make a motion to adjourn.
didn't have to ask for that one. Probably moved to adjourn. I moved to second that we adjourn this meeting. Anybody differ? All in favor, let it known by the word aye.
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 Thank you, everybody who oppose. Thank you so very much again. And again to Aiden, welcome aboard. Thank you for jumping right in. And Laurie, thank you as well, always. And Kelly, we got with us always. So thank you, Kelly.
Sure.
Have a great end of the year. All right. Be safe out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.